Morning.
Hello, welcome back to Global Morning. To this segment, we've had the earlier segments where we had the conversation around financial stability. I hope you got that. And hope you're doing well. Well, we'll have to jump into this particular segment like we had earlier told you. Today marks the 2025 International Day of the Girl Child. And because my co-host is a he for she, he has to be here with me for let's talk about the issues around that.
Certainly, I am a strong advocate for the girl child, and I am very, very intrigued to be part of this interesting conversation.
Okay, well, we will not just be having this question alone because we'll have our guests who will join us virtually, but let's quickly give you a background. Today we mark the 2025 International Day of the Girl Child, focusing on the theme, The Girl I Am, the change I lead, girls on the front lines of crisis. Well, this year's theme, The Girl Child I Am, tells you more, reminds us that even in times of turmoil, the Nigerian girl is not just surviving, she's rising, she's leading and inspiring change for herself and her gender. But the reality is still harsh, where millions of girls across Nigeria's conflict zone face displacement, forced marriage, and the daily threats of violence. And let's tell you that across the world and here in Nigeria, millions of girls are growing up amid conflict, displacement, and insecurity. Yet, even in the darkest circumstances, many are stepping forward, leading change in their communities, and proving that they are not just victims, but voices of resilience. Well, from the insurgency in the Nigerian northeast to ongoing humanitarian crisis in Sudan, and Gaza, conflict continues to rob millions of girls of their safety, education, and future. And even according to UNICEF, more than 30 million girls live in conflict-affected regions across Africa, where the risks of early marriage, gender-based violence, and school dropout rise sharply. In a displacement camp on the outskirts of Maiduguri, you have instances of a 16-year-old lady who called Fatima, who shares a story that across the border in Niger and Chad, similar stories are also unfolding, like Amina and Blessing in such cases, leading small literacy clubs, mentoring others to stay hopeful, even with limited resources. But all of this conversation is one of the focus where Nigerian and the globally is marking the International Day of the Girl Child. And I like the focus of the theme, which looks about the issue of girl child in conflict-related areas and how that has also helped in training their minds and also giving them the reason to live on, that it doesn't matter what you're faced with in all of that, you'll still thrive and you'll still do well. Well, joining us now is Dr. Gloria Fuldo Samdi, who is a lecturer in the Department of Political Science at the University of Jos. She's a leading voice for women and girls affected by terrorism in Nigeria, inspired by Leah Sheribu as a dedicated advocate for the plight of women and girl child. She is championing girl child education and women's empowerment through the Leah Foundation, which supports the rehabilitation and reintegration of women and girls rescued from captivity, restoring their dignity and affirming their worth. She's also a gender and based person and also an education expert, like I mentioned earlier, and she'll be giving us all of this idea, because she understands basically all of the terrain around conflicts and how girl children, I like to use the word children, are surviving across this day. Please join me as welcome our guests who join us back, like I said earlier, to give us all the details about the girl child. Well, it's good to have you join us, Dr. Samadi. It's good to have you. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing too? And good morning to Nigeria.
Good morning to you. It's good to have you join us all the way from Jos. Well, you had us all through on the conversation, and I'm so excited because you understand all of this, and with the focus for girl child around conflict zone. So let's dive into this. Let's start with you as a person. Well, this year's theme celebrates as agents of change, even in conflict. What does that really mean in practical terms, with the fact that you understand what it means for a girl child to survive in conflict-related areas?
Thank you very much, Anita. I'm really grateful to, be here and for us today to be marking the International Day of Girl Child. Let me just give you a quick history background so that people will be able to understand why women or girls or he or she's are celebrating this day with girls. It is very important because it started back in 1995 during the Beijing Declaration, where a platform for action for women and girls blueprint were brought specifically to the fore so that we are able to address issues that pertains to girls and women. And this year marks 30 years of that blueprint of action that has been placed in the front burner for the world to see how women and especially girls will have their rights secured so that they, as the future of our generations, will be able to handle the situations of the world in such a way that they can live it very good for even their own generation. So it is very important that this year we are marking the 30 years of this Beijing Declaration, and this theme is a very, very timely.
Yeah.
The girl I am, the change I lead. Girls on the front lines of crisis.
Yes.
And there is no better place to discuss this crisis than in Nigeria.
Exactly.
So for me, let me just go straight forward to the question that you asked.
Yeah.
So what are the practical terms that we can do? Well, as I said, the theme for the year, it's very, very significant. So we do not want to celebrate girls not just as survivors of crisis, like the conflicts that we have. We have Boko Haram, we have Fulani militia in the middle, the southwest and the north central and all over, all the insecurities, all the insurgencies, whatever name we want to give the conflicts that we are having. It's very important that we recognize that these girls who are survivors of this crisis, we are not just celebrating them as survivors, but we want to also celebrate them as proactive leaders who will drive meaningful transformation in their communities for the future that they hold for themselves and for their children. So in practical terms, what it means for me as a woman who is a voice for these girls is to ensure that we organize and recognize that these girls need to be set up amidst their adversary by initiatives that will be helpful to them. First of all, education is very important. That's why for me, it is important for me as a lecturer to even promote that as my number one priority, because I know where I am today by God's grace, apart from, my parents bringing me up in the proper way. Education has been one of the major things that have brought me to the limelight. So education is very important for every girl. So that's why I will strongly be advocating for their rights by bringing education at the forefront of it, because it is what will make bring innovations to all the solutions that will bring development, and then that it will also lessen the violence that the girls are experiencing. So education is very important. Aside education, I will talk about health. They need to be very well. They need to be very well in their entire being before they can be able to even have the education as well, and be able to help the society. So health services are very important. Education, health services must be provided for these girls so that they are able to take care of themselves and they will not remain as passive victims, but they will be empowered agents that will be able to contribute, to the peace and then the recovery and then the sustainable development that we've been talking about. We live in a very tough environment, but let me just give these two. These are two very important. If we give them this platform, we'll be able to move forward. There are so many, but because of time, we just have to cut it.
We still have the time. You still have the time with us.
All right.
But let's quickly talk about all the issues. Where like I said, I have my colleague who is a he for she, who will be joining us, who's also joining us in this conversation because he's also advocating for women and the girl child, and he has something for you.
Good morning, Doctor. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
How are you doing?
I'm very well.
Thank you so much for being a he for a she. We are proud of men that stand along with their sisters, their daughters, their mothers, and we are so proud of those of you that stand, despite the cultural, that says no. So we are very proud of you, sir.
Thank you very much, Ma. We are also proud of the work you do. So talking of crises, you mentioned particular regions, the Northeast and even central regions, and the crisis there. So the question now is, why is it that women are the most affected in terms of this crisis, and how can it be turned? How can the tide be turned to safeguard the women folk in this crisis region that you've identified?
You know why it is mostly women? Because all over globally, it like the saying goes, is a man's world. And then the patriarchal system is not just Africa affecting it, but all over. So usually, women, because of their physical weakness, which is not a problem because it is God that has made us to not have this, physical strength like the men. So usually when conflict happens, you definitely will see that the weaker vessels or the weaker people will be the one that would pay the greater price, and that's why we are saying that women pay greater prices. And so it's not as if the men are not suffering. Men also are suffering because they are dying. They are also, even if not dying physically, but even mentally they are dying because they do not want to see their daughters, their wives, and their sisters and their siblings also paying a price that conflicts bring about. So, but women focusing on them strongly is because, first of all, being a woman as a weaker vessel, like I said. Secondly, also our sexuality, because that gives the woman, another different way of facing problems. So when men are being killed, conflicts or crises are affecting them differently. Women, after being left with the children, they are also being taken, and then their sexuality is used, to degrade them more because they are kept as sex slaves. They are used as people to help, even their perpetrators, the terrorists and the insurgents and the wicked people committing all these crimes. They keep them to be the ones that will help care for their needs, the cooking, apart from, the sexuality area and all that. So that's why we say women suffer more. Sometimes I don't know whether to say it's even better I get killed than for me to go through all the troubles and the pains that women go through when they are left alive, to be the mother, to take care of these children that you are seeing are being indoctrinated to even go in the wrong way, and then you don't have control to train them the way you want to train them in a comfortable area, that when you believe that you should train them to become sane men and women in the future, but you have them trained in such a way that you do not want that. So women suffer this kind of strong, terrible pains of conflict. That's why we say it is women that bear the brunt more than any other species on earth. When conflicts arises or when conflicts happens, and so it's very terrible for women. Yes.
Yeah, it's actually very terrible because, just like you mentioned, the psychological trauma that comes with it is one most women will tell you, I wish I don't have to go through that all my life, because it's actually very demoralizing. So let's look at this. In all of those issues raised, so what specific protective systems are missing on the ground, and how can the government make safe spaces for girls a national priority rather than a side program, with this conflict issue around the girl child?
The very first action that the government need to take is how do they ensure that their first responsibility, which is enhancing security and protection of every life, and now we are focusing on the girl child. How does government prioritize the innovative policies of ensuring they tackle insecurity in this conflict zone to reduce the exposure of the troubles that women go through and the problems that girl child go through?
Okay.
So security must be enhanced and they must be protected, and this is the responsibility of the government. So that is number one priority. So they must fully ensure that they adopt whatever child right protection acts there is, whether internationally or locally, that has been, we have been signatories to it, to ensure that girl child does not face violence or any harmful practices. So her security is number one. Then, I have said it again, education, it's always another thing that will ensure that, once we have that integrated into our societies, then we will secure the educational environment where these children will be, where this girl child will be, where she will be growing up, where she will be learning, so that it will, make her to become who she is. Whether it is a Christian education center, whether it's a Quranic education center, where it's the entire Western education, whatever education environment, it must be very secure. It's very important, so that we can now integrate all these other psychological supports that we want to do to help them to continue to be secure. So these are very important things that government must ensure. Security, number one. So whatever legislation that the government is going to do to ensure that if they have it on ground, it is properly implemented, not just having it on paper, because the problems that we have, actions that we have, we have them very strongly on paper, but how are they being implemented to ensure that these people who are supposed to be beneficiaries of these policies or supposed to be beneficiaries of these legislations or laws that we have on ground are also enjoying it? And another thing is to hold the perpetrators who are also, destroying them accountable, because it is important that they should be held accountable, so that the girl child will know that, look, these people are not free out there, and that they will come back again and molest the girl child. So they need to be held accountable. So I think that's okay for now.
Okay, so
this one, let's move.
Yeah, we get your points, because every time something comes up, we always look at the authorities, the government, what they should do, just like you've mentioned, measures to be put in place and all that, and legislative policies to also guide. The government is also not resting on us, there's also putting out policies. That's why when the day of the girl child is brought to the front burner, you see lawmakers come to the front burner, you see government officials talk about measures put in place. But let's look at how should the communities do differently in terms of safeguarding these girls to ensure that they are also safe around their communities, and also being guided to the path of life on how they should come out strong and so.
Exactly. So apart from the government, the communities are also responsible. Because first of all, the communities, families are the ones that have these children, and they are the ones that are first responsible for the children before even going to the government. So the communities are also to promote, norms that will drive, the girl child to be able to just love her who she is, as first of all being a girl, as first of all going to become a mother, and then become a grandmother. So first of all, the cultural shift of how girls see themselves need to be helped by communities. So communities, leaders, and churches, and mosques, and traditional, shrines, or whatever religion you are, you need to make the girl child recognize the fact that she has a value. Her dignity is important. So that cultural shift of, complex that the girl child is a second, fiddle or whatever, should first of all be removed. And this is what communities must ensure that we do. And then also supporting the, integration of some of the girls that return. Because we work with some of the girls that return from conflict, that they've been captivity for so long. And when they come, reintegration back into the society as survivors are very difficult for them. Why is it difficult? They are, told that, oh, this one is Boko Haram wife, so we are afraid of her. And even at the families, there's stigmatization, and the girls don't feel that they are properly reintegrated. So communities must ensure that they partner with traditional leaders, partner with all community leaders to foster acceptance of girls back into their communities, so that they are not rejected. The stigma is not there. And then we must ensure that there are, grassroots initiatives that will help, create this awareness, probably like workshops, events. During like today's events, there are so many activities like those of us that are in the NGOs have been able to put in place just to create this awareness, so that girls will have their self-esteem back, and then communities will be able to accept and integrate girls who have been, rehabilitated back into their communities without them feeling shame. And, local different services like, the international communities can bring activities to prevent, diseases by explaining, how communities will be able to access healthcare that I've talked about, and then also, encourage local education communities that they put for themselves. These are all ways that we can be able to come in as communities to support this girl child, so that she is able to see herself as the leader that she is. And we are promoting her today to say, look, the future is in your hand.
And
you are
right.
the next leader in place. So those are things that we have to do to ensure that we give that girl child the space.
All right, that's a good drive for the girl child to see, because like I told Mukhtar, that it's our day, and it's good to put out all the rightful thoughts and also guide the girl child.
Certainly it is. And that brings us to our next question. Doctor, you talked about community and how they can help in reintegrating. Now, I want to know how much of a help does psychology and those kind of rehabilitations, how much of a big help does it do to those girls' psychology in reintegrating them back to the communities?
I know that we don't have enough psychological help available in Nigeria, definitely, but we need it. We need so much of it, because girl child that come out from conflict zones, northeast, north central, now western regions, we have a gap in mental health, and then the psychosocial support that they are supposed to get are, very minimal. But these are very important things that we must provide, and we must ensure that, we bring it to these survivors. Trauma healing is very, very important. Like sometimes I used to say, if I'm in Nigeria, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we're with you, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I said, sometimes, I say, it's like all of us Nigerians have been born as traumatized people, because our situations, our conditions in the villages are terrible. So psychological support is so important to almost every Nigerian, talk less of the ones that have even been at the forefront of conflicts, that have come out as survivors so much. So it is very important that we ensure that as far as they come out from adoptions, from violence, from placement, they are able to receive this humanitarian assistance. It is very important, very, very important. And mostly we have that gap seriously in Nigeria. But I believe the little that, international communities that have, some of the psychological trauma trainings, and then the NGOs around, and like some of the government agencies that are trying to offer the little psychological, trauma support that they can help ladies. I commend them, and I say, please do more, because this is a therapy or a support that must be targeted to ensure that we reduce the cycle of dependency and isolation that the conflict that they have found themselves brings them into it. So we must ensure that we offer these psychological programs to every girl child, in schools, at home, in communities, in displaced populations, wherever in the IDPs, so that they are able to receive these services because it is very needful. It's a basic need. It's a basic need that they need. Just like they need food, they need shelter, they also need this psychological support. It's very important. So I'm glad that you have brought up this one because it is a very strong issue that is so much needed. And we need to work more on it to ensure that psychological support is broader and in helping even in the integration of, girls or women who have come out from different forms of captivity. And this can be built into, even we have a lot of peace talks going around, peace building initiatives. All these psychological trauma cases or psychological trauma support programs can be weaved into this peace building initiative in whatever workshops that people are bringing to communities, so that people are able to have access to this trauma healing, services, because it is very helpful.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Our next question, of course, you're a woman of vast experience in this field. From you working with many girl child, what particular advice would you give to girls that are listening to you right now?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
The question is, what advice would you give to girl child listening to you right now? What particular advice do you have for them?
Oh, wow. One advice that I would give to the girl child is, first of all, you are very special. You have been created as a girl because the creator who created you loves you so much, and he wants you to have your self-dignity intact. Despite what you go through, it does not define who you are. Who you are is who the creator who made you is. For me, being a Christian, it's like the Bible tells me that I am a royal priesthood, a holy nation. So I should see myself, as who God defines me and not what circumstances around define me. So when I want to advise a girl child, I would just say, girl child, see yourself as who you are, a girl that God created, and you have a purpose for being created. So pursue the purpose for which you have been created and have your full self-dignity, growing to become the woman that you have been created to be. Do not allow circumstances around you define who you are. So do not allow yourself to be called by a name that you are not. You are special, you are loved, you are, I don't even know what to say, but just take yourself as who you are. Just believe in yourself and believe that you are a leader and that you have a purpose and that you're going to make an impact and have a change globally on this earth, even before your time, because all of us one day will go, but you will have an impact. So this is one thing that I will have to encourage girls. So I want to also encourage girls to ensure that, look, education is very important. Don't run away from school. Make sure you seek education because it helps you, it frees you. I come from Adamawa State, northeastern part of the country. So, and if you look at Nigeria, where you have the least educated people is the northeast where I come from. But today I'm a doctor, I have a PhD. And so that has helped me to be where I am, in the global scene. So I encourage every girl, just be strong, be bold, take education. Serious, and ensure that you are able to, keep yourself, as God wants you to be. That's the advice that I would give the girls.
Well, from your conversation, we will actually feel your passion, we feel your empathy, we feel all the energy you throw out to all of this, because I understand where you like you mentioned, you're from the Northeast and you know how all of this has played out for you. So being in the front burner and pushing for this, we say well done to all of this. But let's come down home. In Nigeria, civil society groups and youth movements are urging stronger government action, just like you are doing, to protect the girls in the conflict affected states. And here at the plenary session, the House Committee on Women Affairs plans are underway as well to expand psychological support and safe schooling programs for displaced girls. This was a motion of urgent public importance which was raised on the floor of the House by the House Committee Chairperson Kafla Togbara, talking about the essence of the girl child, where we have instances like I always put in place where we have, for instance, in just we can have 17-year-old girls lead a team of volunteers teaching displaced children where her dreams become a humanitarian or a lawyer, and then have stories of telling of how girls and millions of others remind themselves that the girl child is not just a symbol of pity but a pillar of progress. So all of these conversations is part of one of the issues raised on the front, and which are also part of it. And we hope that today, being the day that marks the International Day of the Girl Child, the call will be clear, and that there's need to protect the rights of the girls, amplify her voice, and let her lead the change, which is the focus for the theme of this year, 2025. We want to say thank you so much, Doctor, for being a part of the program. Dr. Gloria Samdi there, who is an expert who understands what it means to put issues in the front. But thank you so much, Doctor, for being a part of the program.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and it is happy International Days to all girls and all women all over the world. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, there she is. We have, she's wishing all the girls all the best, and we look forward to having you. Mr. I will have you from just you join us live in the studio, and I like your drive, and we wish you all the best. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, so there you have it, where she's giving us all the advice as girl child. I've taken in the whole of my community.
Even as a boy child, I have taken those advice, and of course, I've taken it to my sisters, my prospective daughters,
exactly,
and all the women folk around me.
Exactly. So let's see how we can encourage the girl child. Don't forget the theme of this year: the girl I am, the change I lead, and girls on the front lines of crisis. Just like she mentioned, it is very demonizing where you see a lot of girls go through what they go through in the front line of crisis. It's actually not something anyone would want to wish for.
Honestly,
a loved one.
Not even your sisters or your daughters would you want
exactly.
that for. Even your enemies as a girl child, you wouldn't want that for her.
Yeah.
Because women should be dignified. They should be respected. Like
exactly.
you said, the Lord has created us to be great. And we should have that self-worth for ourselves and the people around us, especially the women folk. They should be respected.
Exactly. Women should be respected. Women bring a lot of life. I put that way.
Well, someone said there would be no man without a woman.
Exactly.
I don't know if I agree. Well, of course
you have to agree that, because when you look at the girl child, there's this home, there's this joy that comes with it, and you know that she's a nurturer. She wants to nurture, she wants to build, she wants to ensure that
one amazing thing about the girl child is the empathy. A woman is not able to see you suffer and just turn her eyes to it. No, she would always want to be there to help in whatever way she can, and that's one thing I love about women.
Exactly. Even in the inconvenience, they still inconvenience themselves to ensure that everything works according to plan, and you are comfortable, you're stable.
Look at it at the home. The woman is taking care of the kids. She's taking care of the husband. She's taking care of the whole front. That's
and then she has a career path as well to put.
Honestly, it's a lot of weight that women can carry, and the fact that they carry it effortlessly is something that's a marvel for me, to be honest.
Okay, well, that's all the conversation and discussion segment. So I know we mentioned earlier that it was one discussion segment you wouldn't want to miss.
Certainly.
And it was actually an amazing one with Dr. Puldi Samdi, who did justice to that, because she's very passionate. She understands the terrain when it comes to the conflict issues, and like she said, education is a very important one. That you cannot enroll from the girl child. Please, for those at the grassroots points who see as a way, please do as much as you can to encourage the girl child to stand tall in the front burner of issues and also be educated, because educated, you have the bold right to
there's a saying that if you educate a man, you educate him for himself. But if you educate a woman,
it's for the whole world, and the entire nation is enjoying the benefits from it. Thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of it. But don't forget, we always have a quick one on the aerobics. We'll wrap that up on this Global Morning with the aerobics segment where it will come to you. But Mukhtar, if that can fly, we hope we can have just stretch a bit.
Like you said, we would eventually be bring a practical session for you. Live session.
Yeah, we talked about that.
So that's in the office.
Exactly.
So just keep your fingers crossed.
But it's been an amazing ride.
Certainly has. It always is an amazing ride when I'm next to you.
Oh, it's always next to you as well. Well, we want to say thank you for being a part of the program today on Global Morning. We hope to see more of you, or you see our faces as well. And we'll see you. Thank you so much. Other programming on Global Television continues after we step out, because it's time to go find something. Since Sadia refused to give us, I'm always calling out. Let's go find breakfast, because I'm sure you're having a good time there at home or at work. Please enjoy the rest of the Saturday and make due diligence of the day. I am Anita Patrick.
And I am Mukhtar Kasem. So have a lovely day ahead.
Have a lovely day ahead of you.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.